So welcome everybody. Super excited. Today is a very special day. Nelu, you've done an amazing job. Thank you so much. She always does a great input, and she looks great, guys. I love to see her with lipstick on all the time, right? We work hard and we work every day, and we do not always look like this, right? So we dressed up for all of you who are attending today. It is the last meetup of the year, so thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for being part of our family, because you have been for this whole year. We've got a great 2024 coming up, and we're very, very excited. But today we're doing something a little bit different that is very dear to my heart. As you guys know, last year in the Agile International Conference for 2023 that we had at the beginning of the year, we had a women's panel. And we got great feedback from all of you and from all of the folks that attended in person. It was a leadership panel, and the topics that were addressed, really touched the hearts of a lot of women that are, that are looking to go up in their careers, that are looking to get mentorship, that are looking to get help. And out of that, this was born, the International Woman in Leadership. So we're starting out with a live podcast. I'm very excited because we have a leader in our community, Joviana Gonzalez. She's got a specialty in cybersecurity. She's also very much involved in the community, and she's been voted, Woman of the Americas. But she's got a great story. She's a great woman leader. She's company owned, owns her own company. And from her professional side, her story is amazing. We're going to learn a lot about what her company does. But what touched my heart the most is her personal story, her leadership story as well, because we're here to motivate. We're here to also teach each other and learn from each other, right? And support each other as women in the community. So I think Nelu is going to go to the next slide, and then we'll go ahead and get
Absolutely.
So the vision statement for International Women in Leadership, we're launching this for the first time, is we envision a world where women, irrespective of borders and boundaries, stand shoulder to shoulder as powerful leaders, catalysts of change, and architects of our own destinies. Our vision is to create a global community where every woman is empowered to break barriers, elevate her potential, and excel in leadership. Okay, so I hope this touches your heart. And, you guys can be a part of this as well. A lot more to come in 2024 for all of you who want to get involved and want to help out, because we're going to need a lot of help for this as well. Nay, I think we have
a great poll.
We have a poll. So before I give this to Joviana, because it's been an amazing hour with her, going back to the Agile International Conference for next year, we have a quick question for all of you. Nelu is going to put a poll on the chat. Nelu, what's the question that we're holding here?
All right, great. So we're gonna so we have you have there on the chat a link, right? So you can click on the link, and we're gonna showcase the first question. All right. So if you give me 1 second, let me go ahead and change my view, so you are able to check that out. All right, give me 1 second.
This is feedback from everybody. I know we got men here. Please give us your feedback as well. So if we were to launch a series of women in leadership workshops, what topics would you recommend or be interested in? And we're going to do this for the conference. So your feedback is greatly appreciated here.
There we go. So you have to, all you have to do is click on the link, and it will share, it will give, direct you specifically to this presentation. All right. There we go. All right, we have our first response. Okay, so fostering women's engagement. There we go. Can you see my screen correctly? Yeah. Yes. All right. There we go. Women in tech
as well. Women in tech.
So cybersecurity topics is where I can live my experience. Awesome. And women in tech. All right. I think we have at least 3 topics.
Okay. Feel free, guys, to also put it on the chat for any of you as well.
Assertiveness skills as well, Regina.
Right back. Give me 1 second.
All right. No problem. So I think these topics are very, very much interesting. If you by any chance during the meetup you think, oh, maybe this will be a good idea, put it in the chat and I will save it. Because once I stop presenting, you will not be able to see this specific question. But yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys. We greatly appreciate your feedback. All right. Nelu, let's get started.
All right, let's get started.
Anna's ready.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
So you're gonna do that. You're gonna change up the
correct.
The view, right?
Let me change it. I'm doing that so you can go ahead and get started. There we go. Let me also spotlight for everyone. All right, I am doing it on my end, Regina, so you can go ahead. Okay. On my end recording, yes, go ahead.
Okay, the recording, it shows up on yours, is that correct?
Yes, correct, that's correct.
Awesome, so Joviana, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. I'll give you the floor so you can introduce yourself and tell us about your background. So that would be great.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for inviting me in, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I'm honored to be able to share my journey of my past and where I'm headed to as well. So I'm the founder and the owner of a company called Digital Forensics Now. It's a digital forensics and cybersecurity company. It's the first of its kind in the country. So that's amazing. But our services, you know, what we do digital forensics. We serve law firms, we serve other businesses, we serve government agencies. So we're very fortunate to be able to have a big audience, right? I don't know how much more deeper you want me to go back and get into my background. You want me to talk about, I have an undergraduate in pre-law, I have a master's in administration, I hold several certifications. I'm a certified ethical hacker. I'm a computer forensic expert. I'm also a digital forensics incident response handler. I also have my CISP. I have a bunch of certifications, right? But I didn't just get them overnight. It took a long time to get there, right? And to own a company as well. So that is basically a brief overview of my career.
No, that's wonderful. What is the name of your company, Joviana?
It's called Digital Forensics Now.
Okay, awesome. And what we can do, Nelu can put the link to your company on the chat so folks can kind of look you up as well.
Perfect.
And then she can also put your LinkedIn information. So after
Awesome.
People may reach out to you with a question. So digital forensics, can you kind of educate us on what digital forensics means from the cybersecurity perspective and the type of work that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So to give you a little bit of background, so Digital Forensics Now was founded with its core competency was only to do forensics, imaging laptops, computers, grabbing that data, or recovering deleted data. For the majority was for litigation purposes, or for attorneys, for law firms, for them to win their cases, find the smoking gun so you could win the case, right? And from there, from digital forensics, I met someone in cybersecurity, and they introduced me into what's called digital forensic incident response. So that is investigating data breaches or business email compromises and reporting it to helping companies restore after a hack. But when I first started my career, I knew zero about technology. I come from the legal industry. And from there, I went into e-discovery, which is processing the data that you collect. And then digital forensics is the data that you extract from devices. So it's what you're able to see, chats, emails, instant messaging, emails, all those type of applications. It's really what digital forensics is for the purposes to serve in court for an attorney to use for litigation purposes.
Interesting. So I know how our entire lives are recorded, right? Now digitally. So what type of cases? I know it's many type of cases, but if you can give us an example of some of the cases where your company might get hired by, do you usually get hired by the prosecutors or by the defense? Let me ask you that. And then what type of cases, if you can share, what you can legally share?
Right, yeah. So actually both, because we come in as third parties. So I've also worked in the government side where it's somebody that has been under arrest and they've confiscated, 5, 6 devices, 3 phones, and so forth. So I have to go out to the scene. This is how I started my career, right? Now my company, I have people that do this, right? But I'm talking about myself, of what I've done in the actual field. So you go out to the field and you're under pressure. People don't want to give you their passcodes. You have to figure out how to jailbreak it. You have to make sure you have like the top industry leading tools like Cellebrite and some other well-known tools. And you go and you grab this data and you have to be able to do it as quickly and as efficient as possible while you're under stress. You have a time limit. So we worked on cases like that. We recently worked on a murder case. It's very sad because you have to see, pictures that, that really cause, could, after seeing them over and over, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, all over again until the trial comes, it could be disturbing, right? We've had cases like that. We do a lot of high profile cases for celebrities in case they go under harassment. The more you are of a celebrity, the more likely you are that you're going to have somebody come and sue you and say, oh, I got harassed for A, B, and C reason. So we go in and we have to take all the equipment and image it and produce it and find the evidence and to be able to present it to the attorney so that they can use it for litigation purposes that might lead to settlement or not.
Interesting. So you said you had like a hacker certification. Is that where that comes in handy when you have to kind of go in, or do you actually come in sometimes with like a legal document given by the court, or?
So, that's a tricky question. So it would be both, right? Ethically, you have to have whoever comes to you has to come in with credentials, right? So that's fine. You have the credentials, you get in. But the ethical hacking, that comes in very handy when we have to jailbreak into things. Perhaps their mailbox accounts, perhaps their password protected that we have to brute force into. So that comes in very handy, but it's usually both. People either come with the login credentials or they refuse to bring in the credentials. So you have to go around it because sometimes, some devices are encrypted. You have them encrypted. You encrypted your backup. So you have to figure out ways to decrypt that information so that you could decode it and then give it to the attorney.
Okay. So when I heard what you did for a living, it was new to me, and most of us here are in the technology field. And so we deal with security at the corporate level for organizations. But your industry is quite different. So it was amazing for me to see how our technology skills, right, go across multiple industries. So I thought that was really interesting. I'd like to open up the floor real quick for any questions that you guys might have for Joviana on what she's sharing. It was pretty new to me, so I had a lot of questions for her, but please, if you guys have any questions, please let us know.
Well, first I'd like to know, have you ever met Brad Pitt?
No, I have not.
No, but how can somebody, if you still have your personal credit card or whatever in your possession, how can somebody steal that and use it like across the country if they don't have, if you have it within your possession?
Okay. And that's a good question. So we have what's called the dark web, right? And this is where cyber criminals buy stolen information, credentials like your login, your user ID, your password, credit card information. You know, when certain corporations get hacked, their information, sensitive data gets stolen. So if they don't pay a ransomware, they don't pay the ransom, then this information gets posted in the dark web where it's available for cyber criminals to purchase it. So many times it could be that way, that they purchase it in the dark web, or they have an insider that works for either that bank, or they have, either the bank, and they're able to get those numbers prior to shipping you a card, or during the time as well, has access. So it could be an insider threat, or it could be also a cyber criminal that bought it in the dark web.
So could you go to the dark web and find out if your information's out there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you have to download a Tor site, and then from there you look, I believe it's you've been pawned. You look up that you've been pawned. I do suggest that once you
P-O-N-D?
download, yes, PA, yes. I could also put it in the chat.
Pond.
Yes. So you could definitely see if you could look it up by your email address, and you could see if your data is available in the dark web.
Interesting. Awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
Tony has a question as well. Tony?
Yeah, I have a question. Thanks for sharing your experience. It's kind of nice, like Regina was saying. It's almost like something different and cool, like you see on TV. It's almost like Law and Order / X-Files for the techie side of it. So my question is, if anyone was interested in doing what you do, what route would they have to take?
Oh, wow. Okay. So when I when I transitioned into the tech industry, at least I had a certificate. I had a master's degree already, but I got into e-discovery. But to get into what I do, which is digital forensics, I would recommend the certification CCE, which is a computer forensic examiner. So that allows you to be certified. You'll be able to go to a boot camp. They'll teach you how to clone stuff, how to make sure to extract the data the correct way that's defensible in court. Like, they'll teach you what are the codes of ethics. They'll teach you best practices. And that would be the best route for you to be able to transition into that field, into digital forensics. At least that's how in my opinion, how it would work for me in my experience.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
So very interesting, Joviana. Thank you so much. Oh, we got one more question. Grace, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Tony, for asking that question. That was one of my questions, but I have a different question, contrary to what Tony asked. I'm also in cybersecurity and CISSP certified as well. Okay. I have a lot of people coming to me and saying cybersecurity is all technical, although I try to tell them the other, the other routes. What would you tell them if they don't want to be technical and they want to join cybersecurity?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So, well, cybersecurity has many branches, right? So right now we just discussed the digital forensics. Cybersecurity, you could either be an engineer, an analyst that investigates ransomware attacks, or does malware analysis, or you could also be in the consulting side where you learn about products and services. Okay, like for example, routers and switches. You have that field. Or you also could just be in the side of privacy and learn and educate companies on what would be the best practices, and by keeping up and being informed with NIST or CISA or Homeland Security. That would be the less technical, where you're just being advisory for a company. But anyway you put it, you have to have somewhat of a tech background, or at least the investigative mindset, because even if you're serving as an advisory for a company, you have to know at least some of the foundation of how the infrastructure works.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ruchi has a question.
Yes, Regina, I have a question for Joanna. So I have a small situation to discuss, and then the question will come up. So the situation is, if you feel like all your accounts, your Yahoo account, your Chase account, uh, maybe your PNC account, all your accounts that you are currently handling, at the same time your PC that you are using, all the passwords are gone, or somehow if you observe consistently that uh, whatever you use on your PC gets leaked, who would be the right authority to confirm that if it is safe or not, and how to handle this situation?
I lost you on the last sentence. I don't know if it's my side, but I heard you a little bit from far.
Okay, so did you hear till this point? Like, if you feel like your laptop, all your accounts, their
Right.
passwords, they're all
Right.
hacked, and you observe that all the information that you are surfing, for example, you browse something on Google,
Right.
the outsiders get to know that what you are surfing. So
Right.
who would be the authority to confirm that this is happening with you or not, and are you at safe spot or not? Who would be the right person, or which company this person should
Sure.
approach? Yeah.
Yeah, so that would definitely be somebody that does incident response. Like our company, we do breaches or we do threat hunting. So in your case, if you still have access to your computer that and you think someone has hacked you and they're seeing what you're doing, then what we'd be able to do is deploy an agent to your computer and conduct threat hunting. So to be able to find out the cause or what the issue is, and also review certain logs from your computer as well. So you need a cybersecurity company that does incident response, like Digital Forensics Now.
Okay. And does your company help in this matter, or?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. We specialize. This is one area that we specialize in as well.
Okay, awesome. Good to know that. I may need to take this offline. I'll connect with you
Okay.
separately. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Her information, her company information is on the chat, Suruchi. You should see the link.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think Tony's back. Tony, you got another question?
I'm so sorry. One last question, because the question she asked made me think of something. So as individuals, as private citizens, what's I know that you're supposed to have a password for your accounts and stuff like that, but what would you say is the best way to protect our personal information online besides the password?
Besides the password, you could lock your your credit report. That's one way that you could do so that you don't have identity theft in the sense that they go and try to open more additional cards. You could also, if you're using your computers, you could have a really good antivirus. Besides, maybe have Malwarebytes, constantly be running scans for your personal wise. And then don't share your data, because the thing is that nowadays everybody asks us for personal information, and so that makes you always going to be vulnerable out there. So there's no really way to really protect yourself 100%. What you could do is just add safeguards like what I just recommended.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm writing down lock your credit report, so I'll talk to you about that one another day. Awesome. So Joviana, I think Julie has another question. We're moving on, but go for it, Julie.
I'm so sorry. This just happened to me. I was looking for a job and they got me into signing up for a Signal Messenger private, and they wanted to interview me over the phone via text message. So I got to the point and they were asking me my city, my state. Then they asked me if I wanted to be paid by check or by instant instant deposit, direct deposit. And so I said I was getting I was getting, a little fishy at this point. So I said, oh, I'll just get a check. And then later in the conversation, you said, well, what bank do you bank with? And I said, oh, no worries. You don't need to worry about that because I'll be getting a check. And they go, just answer the question. So I made up the bank that I don't bank with. And then,
Okay.
then they said they were going to, I had to buy all sorts of equipment to do the job. And I was like, well, why doesn't the company just send you all the stuff you need, like the laptop and all the software? And they said, well, no, we were going to send you a check, and they wanted me to deposit it in the bank. So when they said that they weren't going to give it to us, I just ended the conversation. But I got so freaked out. I'm like, do they now have access to my phone? Because this went on for like 2 hours. Can they get inside my access to my phone while I'm on this interview with them?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So another things to add, besides you have to have multi-factor authentication on. Also, don't click and to any PDFs, or don't respond to any type of smishing, texting, because you have threat actors that are trying to attack people in every way possible, whether it's through email, whether it's through text. So they send you links. If you don't recognize something, delete it right away. If you see an email and you see, hey, this looks kind of weird, delete it. Because if somebody needs to really follow up with you again, they're going to either call you or send you another email. So if something looks fishy to you, don't even feed into it, because if you start clicking and you start giving them information, you're going to download malware either to your cell phone, into your computer. So one thing that we always advise, whether it's a company, an individual or a business, is that, don't click into anything that you don't recognize. Always make sure to verify who the sender is on an email. Make sure you have multi-factor authentication enabled. Pretty much those are like and make sure you have like an antivirus, like Malwarebytes, at least on your computer. But when you see something like that on your text, I would definitely, if I were you, my recommendation would be I would delete it. Because if a bank needs to reach out to you, they're gonna call you, and no bank is gonna ask you ever, what's your account number, or those type of questions. I believe banks are not allowed to disclose that over the phone.
Yeah, so I called the bank right away, and then I called PayPal, and then they took care of it and all that sort of stuff. And so, then
Yes.
they were asking if you should report it to the police.
Mhm.
The police can't do anything.
What they imagine, they have so many other cases that they're also chasing after, right? Criminals. But it is advisable, if they asked you to report it, you do have the option. If you are hacked, if it's a business that's been hacked, you do have certain, you have to report during a certain time frame. And you sometimes do have to inform either the FBI or something like that as well.
Yeah, I know the FBI is now getting involved with some of these scammers with cards and stuff. So, okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So, Joviana, thank you so much for answering those questions. I know that I've started to look at the emails that I'm receiving, and I never used to, you see the subject line and you see the topic, but I never used to take a look at the sender email. And the sender emails, if you notice, they're like crazy and have nothing to do with the topic. So that's another, quick win there to do. But let me ask you a question. You mentioned that you started working at law firms, right? At what point did you see, and the reason why I'm asking is because a lot of folks that come to our meetups, and even in my own personal experience, like we started in one type of work, or we started in a particular type of career, and then we find an opportunity, or we see a gap, or we see a need, or you meet somebody that tells you about something very interesting that they do for a living, like you, right? And they're like, wow, I would love to get into that type of career. How did you make that shift from where you started to where you are today? Like, what was that moment in time that you were like, wow, I need to go through, through this path? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Regina. And I have to say I'm very fortunate, and I thank God for his direction that he has taken me to. I started my career from being a clerk working at the state attorney's office, to going to receptionist, to a secretary, to paralegal, who worked full time, doing my undergraduate and being a paralegal as well. Then I went into my master's. And then in 2008, when I was a trial paralegal and I came into a specialty on that, because I was once aspiring to be an attorney, but then I decided not to. And I was shuffling 250 bankers boxes in New York, and I can never forget this. I used to have to wear Band-Aids for rubber as like bumpers because you have to go through so many documents. And I met a company over there that they saw me struggling like that, and they're like, "Oh, there's e-discovery," and I'm like, "What is that?" There's like, "Oh, there's just a summation platform you could just have all that loaded into," and I'm like, "Really?" So I took an interest in the tech and technologies. This is back in 2008. So I went, got certified into it. I still continued as a trial paralegal. I couldn't find an e-discovery position here in Miami because these type of roles existed were in New York, Chicago, DC, and so forth. And so what I did was that I moved. I relocated. I got a position in Bethesda, Maryland, where they offered me an e-discovery position. And they gave me the opportunity to be also become the forensic expert in-house. And they paid for my certification for me to get my CCE as well. So I think that where my career changed into technology from law to technology was back in 2016 when I left Miami to go to another city that I didn't know. I didn't know anybody there, and my role was being an e-discovery specialist, and then I became a forensic expert there, and then from there I learned cybersecurity. I went to a conference. I was at a conference in Virginia, and I was about to leave the current law firm that I was at. And I met this former FBI agent, and he was like, I spoke on a panel. He came up to me afterwards, and he's like, "Let's go have dinner. I'm so interested to hear how's your your background is so interesting." And he's like, "One day, if I have a role available, I'll call you up." And a year later, he gave me a call, and I went into becoming into cybersecurity. I started doing forensic analysis, but for breaches. So I think I've been very fortunate that I've met the right people at the right time, right? But also that my personality is that in every role that I've been at, I've mastered it. But sometimes you can't even master everything because technology is always evolving in something new. But I outgrow it. And then I research to see what's my next thing I want to do. So what I'm constantly doing is taking an inventory of where I'm at and where I'm headed. And I think that is how my journey has come from being a clerk at a state attorney's office, working with attorneys, of course, to owning the first digital forensics and cybersecurity company in the country.
Wow. So I commend you tremendously, right? That's a
Thank
great
you.
journey that you've been through. I think the chance that you took to make that move, right? That you moved from the States, I think that was probably a step into the unknown, and you took a chance on yourself, right? And that's what we talk about all the time, taking a chance and giving yourself an opportunity without really knowing what the future
Yeah.
was going to be for you. But
Yeah.
that one step led to the next step and led to the next
Yeah.
step, right? And
Absolutely.
being open to those changes is really what makes the difference, right? So I commend you, because then the story after that, your career just took an amazing path, Juliana. Absolutely.
Yeah, it did. But going back to risk, I'm a risk taker. I am a risk taker. And I like to live out of my comfort zone. I find that every time I step out of my comfort zone, that's growth. One way or another, whether you have challenges or not, and you have to, transition, maybe shift this way to the left a little bit more than to the right. Taking risks is definitely, for me, has been a very, very, very important part of my journey. It's definitely, I rather live in the unknown than the known.
Awesome. In Agile, we have a saying is being comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And we know that that's not easy, right? Because you're taking a chance. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me ask you a question. One of the things that we talk a lot about in leadership is a personal brand, right? And nowadays, a personal brand definition is mixed up with who we are, right? And our persona, whether it's our role or our title. But then there's also so much more now, you know, I'm going to say with the newer generations, with being involved in the community, with also social media. Can you tell us a little bit about what a personal brand represents to you as a woman in leadership? How would you
How would you define
it?
I would say that branding yourself takes a lot of networking. I think, and that also gives you opportunities, because the more people you meet, the more you're getting closer to your next goal. You never know what opportunity is going to come if you don't go out and network. So for me, being involved in the community is very important. I am about serving the community. I am involved in a few associations: the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, the South Florida Hispanic Chambers. I also participate a lot for foster kids, as well as for the homeless. But it's very important to put yourself out there and brand yourself, but be authentic, be yourself. Like, you don't have to follow somebody else. You put yourself out there, you bring out your best every single day, and you go out and you network, and doors amazingly open for you.
Awesome. And so you're involved in all these local communities in South Florida, is that correct?
In South Florida, yes, I'm involved in all of them. So it's fantastic, because we have trustee luncheons. Like my company is a trustee member for these associations. So we have trustee luncheons, and we have guest speakers, or I get to be part of the panel, or I get to meet people that own businesses, and then I give them advisory services. So, you know, it works both ways. You're serving the community, and at the same time, you're getting business, but you're doing it for the good of the community. So for me, it's very important to have a branding in wherever you live, or, you know, a purpose. I would say a purpose.
And now you're part of our Agile community. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Let me ask you a question, because I guess who we are, right? And I think you, as Saruchi had quoted you on the chat, to which I love the statement you made about always taking inventory of where we're at, right? And always where we want to be. We always say, we use the word retrospective a lot, right? Always looking at, you know, what are our lessons learned, right? What are opportunities for a continuous improvement? And we always also use the language of continuous improvement mindset. So I love that, because it fits right into, you know, what we talk about all the time for growth. From your personal perspective, I know there's many times that many things that happen in our life give us character, right? And give us the strength to move forward. If you don't mind sharing a little bit of your personal story and what makes you Joviana, what makes you that person who likes to take risks, who likes to dive into the unknown, where do you think that comes from?
That's excellent. And that I would say definitely comes from my upbringing. I do come from a dysfunctional family. Everybody has a story, right? And mine is my mother left me when I was 2. I ended up in foster care with my siblings, then ended up having an abusive father back and forth, and then being on my own since I was 12 years old. And during this time of me going up to 12, I don't remember feeling bad for myself or pity or self-pity or anything. I got into sports. I was in cheerleading, I was in dance line, I was a volleyball player, I was soccer. I just wanted to just be in everything to keep my mind busy. And I believe that I overcome the abandonment issues, or maybe some type of insecurity, you know, personally, right? But it's made me who I am now, because it allowed me to have to find people to trust, right? Built my circle, because I don't have family, I don't have parents. It taught me how to never give up. Never give up. It was me. I pushed myself and pushed myself personally. I pushed myself because I want to be better than what my parents were. And I have a beautiful 18-year-old daughter. And for me, being a mother is the biggest gift ever. I am super mom to her, or uber mom as well. But I think that just all the steps and everything that I went through in life, I have been able to become a better leader because I'm more understanding. I have better listening skills. I communicate a lot better. So that's has served me well, as bad as it seems, but it was good because it made me who I am.
So thank you so much for sharing that. From my background, I come from immigrant parents as well, right? Who struggled a lot when they came here to the US. And I always think, believe it or not, my parents' struggle, my struggles was an advantage, right? Because it made me stronger, even at a younger age, to deal with things that we didn't know how to deal with because we were young, that some of the kids today may not have to deal with, or our kids don't have to deal with because we're making sure their life is different. So that definitely, I think, does make us stronger and better. And it helps us to give back and show up in a different way. So I definitely commend you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're
So
welcome.
that's why you work with foster communities. Is that correct?
Yes, that's definitely why I give back to foster communities. Yes, it's something I hold close to my heart. And I think that one day I hope to be able to adopt and add someone to the family and give back. I've learned that one thing that my past has taught me is that it's taught me to soften the heart and awaken the mind.
I like that. I'm gonna write that one down. Soften the heart and awaken the mind. I love that. I love it. That's a great connection. The mind and the
Yes.
heart together.
Right. So if I start thinking with the heart, with a softer heart, I'm going to be kinder. I'm going to be more generous. I'm going to be a better thinker because I don't have heaviness in the heart. That for me, that's what I've learned. I've learned it through, I've done therapy, journaling, I did meditation. I'm huge on it. So that's what's helped me a lot in
And
life.
sharing that, because I know a lot of our listeners, that join, we're all going through things, right? It's not just professionally, also personally. But you talked about leadership, which kind of leads us to the next question. And I know, Nelu, we've got a poll that maybe there. And so leadership is always one of the things that we look at as we're career developing, ourselves, right? And so one of the questions we love to ask, hey, what are your personal favorite leadership traits? We're going to go ahead and do the poll, and then we're going to have Joviana kind of take a look at everybody's responses and then tell us a little bit about your leadership style. But let's see, Nay, if you can help us out with that, that would be wonderful.
Wonderful. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So everyone, I sent again the link there. And the question is very simple. If you were to think of one word that describes your leadership trait, what would that be?
Right. You can put it on the chat or you can put it on the poll, guys. So you have both options. We'll be looking at the chat as well. So what would you say is your leadership style, Joviana?
Transparency. That's the one word that would describe me. It would be transparency. I think that when you're transparent, you're able to build better relationships that become long-lasting relationships. And plus, it's the same thing as it incorporates trust. It incorporates loyalty. I'm huge in my team right now, building dynamic relationships in the sense that we have good energy. Everybody comes in with an open mind. We all share ideas. So I would go back to describe my leadership would be transparency, because that's how I lead, by transparency. It just becomes contagious. Makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what you see is what you get.
Being authentic, right? Being authentic. Do you
Yeah.
guys have any questions for Joviana on the leadership front? Did she answer all your questions on the leadership front?
Looks like, maybe so.
Okay, awesome. Work-life balance is also a topic that is very dear to our hearts, right? I think it's both for men and women, right? As a woman leader, company-owned woman as well, how do you integrate your personal life while being successful, as a professional? What would you advise women regarding that? And maybe what are some of the struggles you've gone through and some of the things, maybe changes you've had to make in your life?
I'm a workaholic. I mean, I definitely throughout my entire career, I was always a workaholic. And if you've ever worked with attorneys, you're gonna be a workaholic, right? So, but now where I'm at now, the way that I get to balance my personal life with my professional is that when I go to events, I'm not on the phone. I'm at the event. I let the team, there's a hotline now that goes directly, they get answered. The team, knows exactly what needs to be done. So it's taken off the pressure a lot off my shoulders, right? But in the past, the way that I've always been able to disconnect is that I used to love jogging. I was a kickboxer, and meditation. You have to find 20, 30 minutes of your day where you have zero communication with anybody, just pure silence, just like let it out, like just think. So whether it's going to be in your shower while you're showering or before going to bed, you need some silence in your life, 20, 30 minutes, so that you could have that balance between your personal and your being a professional.
Awesome.
And when you have kids, it's really difficult. That I know that for a fact. When I was a single mom, I struggled a lot, but I had her on a strict routine where she would be in bed every day by 8 o'clock. So that would give me some time, free time, up to like about 10 o'clock at night to, have for myself.
Awesome. I like your examples because it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be something very simple, right? You said even in the shower, right? Just time for yourself. Having that mental break, right, makes a really big difference. And
Oh yeah.
As a known workaholic myself, it's hard, especially because you want to show up and you want to be there for everybody and you want to take care of everything as well. But thank you. Did you guys have any questions on work-life balance? Does anybody want to share any work-life balance techniques that works for you as well? Does anybody want to share? Reaching out to the community, you guys get to share as well. No?
It's a struggle, many people, it's hard to keep those two things in balance. It's especially if you're a single parent, whether it's a single dad or a single mom, it's difficult when you have the kids, but when the kids are more grown up, you still have to take that little bit of time, either 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just to either journal or just do something for yourself.
Absolutely. I think Grace raised her hand. Grace.
Yeah, I want to share. For me, it's really walking or hiking. That's the moment where our ideas are birth. And I speak to the higher power. I could scream, shout. I don't care who is passing by me, but that's the time when I have a lot of inspiration. That time when I hike, or walk. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Julie?
I think sometimes if you're find yourself overly doing something, you have to commit to a hard stop. And so make an agreement of, like the DC public charter schools. I remember working with some of the technicians and they were like, okay, well, I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock. And at first I didn't know what that meant. And then they were like, no, that means that I don't get paid past 3. I'm done. So the discussion is going to end at 3. And that could be the same with anything you do. Like people say, well, keep staying, or can we go forward if you make an agreement with a hard stop? Like, no, this is where my work ends, and I've got to go see my kids. And then hard stop, this is where my kids go to bed. So anything else, the phone goes down, or I stop doing everything else. This is me time. And my favorite time is 8 o'clock, going up into my room and just snuggling in my bed and watching my favorite shows. So
Thank you,
that's
Julie.
what I
Thank you for sharing. And then Purnima put in the Purnima, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, put in the chat. I try to avoid meetings on closer to end of the day, especially on Fridays. So at the end of the week, I feel there's no pending work and enjoying me time. Thank you, Purnina, for sharing. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So Joviana, I would ask, what is your legacy? What would you like your legacy to be, right? I love it because, we've been around for quite some time. You've had a very amazing professional journey and personal journey. So I definitely commend you for that. What would you say to aspiring leaders, number one? And then number two, what would you say your personal legacy is? So it's 2 separate questions. What would you recommend for aspiring leaders? And then what would you say you would want your legacy to be left, that you would even share with your kids and with your community?
For personal legacy, my professional legacy is that I founded the first woman-owned digital forensic cybersecurity company in the country, right? But I also would like to be remembered not just for founding that company, but also for aspiring new leaders. That would be my personal legacy, right? What I could tell to other women leaders in the industry is to network, to mentor, and to step out of your comfort zone, because that leads to greatness.
I love it. That kind of summarizes everything you've been sharing and teaching us today. So thank you so much, Diana. So this has been amazing. I'm going to open it now to anybody else who wants to ask you any questions, because it's been super interesting. I think Saruchi has a question.
Yes, Regina, not question, but I think I missed to share something when we were discussing work-life balance. So as Joviana mentioned, I am also workaholic. I mean, I always want to do something related to agility. I spend too many hours in that during the day. But then when I spend doing something which me and my daughter love, for example, painting, we love painting together. When I do that activity with her, we both get refreshed. And then I don't know, I don't feel my tiredness, I don't feel my fatigueness, I feel content. So this is different. I mean, again, doing something with your kid is again an activity, hard work, but that doesn't, I don't feel like that's a hard work. It refreshes me, it takes me out of all fatigue. So that is one of the technique I try to use to have work-life balance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Saruchi. So definitely the whole purpose, of these live podcasts is to have folks like Joviana come in and share her story, inspire us, right? And to answer all of our questions, because we're like, hey, what can I do, right? To get to that point in my life. So Tina, go for it.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Joviana, for coming in and sharing with us your evening and your expertise. This is very, very valuable and priceless. So I want to kind of share one thing that I do in terms of work-life balance. I try as much as I can intentionally have a routine, an evening shutdown. And the evening shutdown is the hardest one for me, is the mental one. When you're trying to shut down physically, you shut down your phone. I shut down my phone. And maybe there are some meetings that I have for the next day that I know I've not really prepared for. So I intentionally do the shutdown, make sure if I have a meeting for the next morning, I make sure that I have everything set to kind of clear my mind, clear my brain, and make sure that it is real shut down. And it requires a lot of intentionality. So I just wanted to share that with us. So you can shut down physically, but in your mind, in your brain, you have not shut down. Then the whole purpose is defeated. Thank you.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yes, absolutely. Being able to go and shut down, actually reset the mind is so important. It allows you to the next day come in as a better person.
Thank you, Tina. Tony?
Yes, I have a question. I'm sorry, before I even go into that, I just want to say thank you so much. You're such an inspiration to me. And I just really value your time here with us. But I have a question about work-life balance, because sometimes it sounds easier said than done. For people who have like high pressure jobs, for example, where you're in your role, you're constantly in demand. And sometimes projects will take you beyond your work hours. How do you, and especially if you're dealing with people from like different time zones and different countries and stuff like that, how do you draw that boundary with your employer or manager or management or whoever, senior management or whoever, and let them know without coming across as being problematic? Or, oh, you don't want to put the extra work, you don't want to put the extra work in and, be a team player. How do you draw that boundary with your employer where they know after this hours, I'm shut up for the day. It's not personal. It's just, I need this time for myself. I'm not trying to jeopardize my job. I'm going to give my all during my hours, but after that, I need this me time for myself and my family. How do you convey that? Draw the boundaries where, hey, I'm not picking up the work phone after 6 p.m. And I hope it's not going to be a problem when I'm coming to work the next day. How do you do that? How do you convey that message where it's respected and you're not at risk of coming across as being not a good team player?
So there's various ways I could answer this, but
Okay.
I'm gonna answer it in my experience, right? This is when you need to start reflecting on the culture of the company, right? Because being a leader, you don't want your employees worn down, because that's where it opens up for errors. That's where you start getting mistakes. So you want your employees, there's times that there's deadlines, especially working with attorneys that I had to work, 10, 12-hour shifts. But you can't do that consistently every day because you're going to get burnt out. And a burnt out employee is just no good. So I would suggest to your supervisor, and again, this is just in my experience, what I've had to do in my personal life, as when I was a paralegal, or even when I worked and I did cybersecurity and I was doing breaches myself, as an employee. I would set my calendar where nothing could be scheduled after this call, after this time, and that's was my boundary. They respected it. I didn't really have to convey anymore because I just was not available anymore any other time. But if you get pushback from an employer, then it's just time for you to reevaluate really that company and see if it aligns with your principles, right? Because whenever you go for an interview, you're not just having them interview you. I hope you're looking at them and you're interviewing them as well. You're looking to see, do they have a lot of turnaround, or, have you read any type of reviews and stuff like that? Because it's very important where you go work, especially if you want to have a family life balance, and you want to make sure that your employer is supporting that. Because if they support wellness, especially when it comes to being burnt out, that comes to do with your mental state, you don't want a burnt out employee. I don't want my team to be burnt out. I want them to come in with energy. I mean, sometimes it's okay to have to work 50, 60 hours, once in a while, but every single week for 6 months straight, it's undoable. You'll just get burnt out.
Got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Joviana. So I think, Neilu, we're ready for our last exercise.
I think we are.
I
Okay,
think we are. This-
awesome.
Awesome. What a wonderful experience, Joviana. And you guys asked amazing questions, right? Like I said, your life story has inspired me and our community.
Thank you so
we're
much.
very, very humbled that you're part of our Agile community now. And this is our first live podcast, so we're very excited to be like you, a leader, a woman leader like you. Great. So guys, International Woman in Leadership. The hashtag is I will, right? So I want to do an exercise before we show this, Neilu, and you can leave it there because it's our last meetup of the year, right? And I don't know, Nate, do we do the exercise? Do we take the picture? What do you think, Neilu?
We should definitely take the picture.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so this is something that we do, right? Because we're in an online community and you guys know this, you guys are part of our family. We ask everybody to please put on their cameras and we take a picture in honor of our speaker and then we post it online and, and you guys like it. And it's the only thing that we ask that you like it and that you share as well. And then I see Henry's got his cat in the background. The cat can be in the picture too.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool.
I have very little control over that, so my apologies.
I love it. I love it.
That's true.
And so if we can take a picture and then Neilu is actually going to post a picture on LinkedIn. If you guys could like it on the chat, we love it. Hi, Joel. Great to see
Nelu,
you.
can you remove our videos from unblock our videos?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
sure.
Thank
For video.
you.
There you go. There you go.
It's
Thanks.
Tony. Look, now you get to see what Tony looks like, Joviana.
Hi.
All right, we're ready?
Let's see.
Ready.
Nima, Lydia. Awesome. Okay, so we always pick a sign, like some sort of gesture, right? That we want to come out in the picture of our gratitude towards Joviana. So I'm gonna do this one. Let's see what you guys
I love it.
okay. And then we come up with a picture like this. And then Neilu's gonna do
Oh, that's a good one. I have to do it then.
Yeah.
There you
Neilu
go.
will do the countdown.
All right, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you so much. I got it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So while Neilu puts it on the chat, we're going to do a quick exercise, okay? So the hashtag, this was our first podcast for International Women in Leadership, hashtag I will, okay? Hashtag I will. So the exercise is, it's the ending of the year. Think about 2024. Think about the amazing story that we heard from Joviana, right? So each of us, let's share a statement of I will. I will. What is we're going to call this the Empowerment Manifesto, okay? And I want each of you to say an I will statement of what you pledge to do or overcome or achieve in the upcoming year. So who wants to start? Who wants to start? Oh my God, not everybody at the same time. I see Grace is getting ready. Go, Grace.
I pledge to serve. I will serve.
Awesome, awesome. Who's next? Who's next?
I will take bolder steps and step outside my comfort zone next year.
Thank you, Tony. Who else?
I will find my dream job.
Yay!
Yay! That's awesome.
Let's see,
I
Henry.
could definitely. Oh, wait.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jovina.
No, where's the hand? I can't even find my hand right now. Okay. As for me, I plan on becoming part of the Guardian Ad Litem program so that I could help children that are going through custody battles with their parents and so forth. So that's my goal now for next year.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's see, Saruchi.
Yes, I will target to go back to my prior employer and empower the agile teams over there.
Wonderful. And remember, what we state with our mouth is what will happen, right? What we state and what we say will happen. So thank you so much. Let's see who's next. Who's next? Let's see, Nick.
Yeah, I put in the chat. I'll be a trusted resource for the right company.
Very
I think
good.
furthermore, I'll do my best to give back along the line. You know, I think it's a reciprocal effort. And Joviana, that's a great thing to hear. I think that's an amazing thing. If you have any like resources you can share to help us like spread that, I think that's wonderful.
Okay, definitely. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, let me send you my link. Or I think they put the link earlier.
Yes,
So then I can share other resources with you.
correct. And on the link I just shared, which is the picture, you're tagged, so everyone can go ahead and click on the post and connect with you.
Yeah, awesome. Yes. I hope to connect with everybody here. Thank you so much for having me and the opportunity. I am so grateful, and it's been definitely an honor to really have this conversation with you all.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Nick. Yeah, definitely connect with her on LinkedIn or on the chat. Let's see, Godwin. What will you do, Godwin?
I think I'll like to speak more next year. Yeah, so I'll like to speak more in conferences next year. So I've been kind of being lazy about it and procrastinating about it. So I think I'm gonna put myself out there next year.
Awesome. You know you can always, you know you can always come practice over here. So keep me
Yeah,
posted.
I already put mine in. I already sent it in to Nelu.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see, Joel. What do you get? What I will what? What would you pledge?
We can't hear you, Joel.
How about now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been having problems. I've gone through 2 blue microphones. They both failed on me. I think work less.
A good one.
And earn more?
That would be nice. Working less and family would be better.
That's awesome. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? Let's see. Henry?
Well, thank you. So this year it was to become more out there as far as a speaker and moderator. And I think thanks to you, Regina, and to Rick, I was able to elevate part of that game. So I appreciate it. This year, coming up in 24, I like to be more of a mentor to those youth that are trying to get into the technology field, cybersecurity field, and kind of help them get on that path and know how to build a foundation and get into this career field. So stay tuned for a February speakership on that one. So
Henry, can you drop your LinkedIn information, please?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
And he was one of our AI event speakers. He was one of our panel hosts, and we got you for the
Yes.
2024.
Is
you
your
had
last
me
name
in May of
Zaldivar?
24. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it Henry
Rick threatened me,
Zaldivar?
so I have to go.
Yes, that's him. That is the one. That is him. He's the one and only.
Henry
Without
gives
the hat.
awesome advice.
We need LinkedIn info.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me go back to Purnima. Any I will statements for Purnima before we move on, or from Lydia?
Well, this year I'm thinking I have to step out of my comfort zone. I'm scared of each and everything, even for an interview, to go for an interview. I know what I have done. I'm good at work, but especially when I go in front of people, I cannot speak. So I have to step up my game. So I feel like I'm gonna do this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So you're more
As the first step, today is the first time I'm here. So I feel like, okay, at least I've started at the end of the year. Maybe by continuing next year, I'll just continue with this.
awesome. So I want to invite you to our Saturday Agile coaching sessions. They're Agile coaching clinics. We got some great breakout sessions there. It's more of a one-on-one. So please go and look at our events. It's for free. And we've got a lot of coaches that volunteer on Saturdays. So I think that would be great because they can help answer any questions you might have. I think, Grace, did you raise your hand again?
Yeah, I will serve at the Women International. This Women International. International Women.
Say it again. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Oh, where did she go? Okay, so I got my last one, right? The launching of the International Women in Leadership organization to bring that amazing community of women, to empower women, to inspire women, motivate women, but men too, okay? So you guys are not left out as well. But just create an amazing community to help people, and then I've got, so this is our empowerment manifesto. Those of you that work in Agile, you know we have an Agile manifesto, right? And we know it by heart. Right? So the manifesto, Joviana, it's kind of like a strong word, but we do have an Agile manifesto. But this is an empowerment manifesto that we're hoping resonates with all of you for the upcoming 2024 year. So I will empower, I will rise, I will lead, I will excel, I will connect, I will persist, and I will inspire. This is our
amazing
empowerment manifesto, guys. And the last quote to close out, because I know we're right on time. We're 1 minute over. This is my favorite quote. Be the change you wish to see in the world. It starts with you. Okay. So guys, happy new year. Thank you so much. We love our Agile community. You guys are the best. We're here because of you, to serve you every day. Joviana, thank you so much. This was amazing. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you.